There's a lot there to get to with our next guest. Alberta Conservative MP Shuvaloy Majumdar joins me now. Sir, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here today.
Been a minute.
Yeah, it sure has. It's good to have you back. Let's start with that scene there. Mrs. Scarpaleggia being dragged to the chair to be the new speaker. There were two Conservatives in the running for that until this morning. I mean, what do you make of the decision of Chris D'Entremont and Mr. Nader to bow out of that race?
Listen, it's a secret ballot, and parliamentarians, it's a deeply reflective moment for them to decide whether or not they want to stand as speaker. It's a huge responsibility. With it comes a responsibility to uphold the institution, to be the voice of the commons, of the people, and to make sure that that's a priority in every day. So, our Conservative colleagues are great people, and I'm sure they had their own reasons to decide to take their name off the ballot. But today
was some of it math?
The new speaker.
Was some of it math? Like if the speaker is an opposition MP, in a tie, they vote with the government to preserve continuity, and I guess in a minority parliament, that matters.
Well, look, I think in deciding who the Speaker of the Chamber will be, we've seen what the experience has been in the past. I think it's so important that Parliament choose a Speaker today that actually allows for the rhythm of the debate to reflect the democracy of our country. And in so many ways, I think in the last couple of years, we just haven't had the opportunity to feel that. And so it's nice to see that a new speaker has been elected. And as our leader in the House had said very clearly, this is a chance for the speaker to uphold that rhythm of the debate and to make sure that the views of all Canadians are actually reflected in our national parliament.
How optimistic are you this will be a more functional parliament than the one that was just dissolved for this last election? Because things just weren't moving. It was very partisan. I know the political environment has changed quite a bit since last fall. What's your sense of how you expect it to go?
Well, listen, it's such a short parliament. I wish it were a longer parliament. I wish that we could actually do the work that the people of Canada have elected both government and opposition to accomplish. It's a short sitting full of some pageantry this week, some work next week, and then, of course, the government's going to be dealing with international summitry. But here we have a country in crisis, defined as such by the Prime Minister, a country that has to deal with some very heady issues of how we deal with a deficit, of how we deal with a plan for economic growth, a plan for taxes. The country can't afford to be at standstill any longer. And so it's a very short parliament to be able to predict to you exactly how it's going to play out. My hope and wish is that we can get to work for longer to actually see the budget and the plan that the new government would propose to Canadians and see it now, see it in this session.
Okay, so the plan, we'll get, I mean, there's the 7 points in the mandate letter, just a single mandate letter for all of Cabinet. And while it's limited in the number of points, they're all pretty broad, right? You can fit a lot of things into those. What sort of specifics are you watching for tomorrow in terms of the speech from the throne, in terms of how quickly this is gonna move with the new Carney government?
Look, there's a lot of issues this country has to deal with, whether it's things like the cost of living or actual solutions in building homes for people, on unleashing our economy and our resources, on confronting out-of-control crime, on fixing an immigration system that has sown chaos across this country. These are big, heady issues, big challenges. We know the government has been inspired by a lot of things that they've seen from the opposition and the Conservatives, and we applaud them for that. And Conservatives in the opposition had said during the campaign, we're ready to work for 100 days to pass 3 laws that are readily drafted and ready to go. Our platform is drafted and ready to go. It's costed and ready to go. It's a plan. Now, we were told that there would be a plan by this government, but it has not yet been presented, and they said they need extra time to do so, which I think is a bit unfortunate.
You think you could have had a budget ready to go by next month?
Twice before in elections, and as you would know, when I used to work with former Prime Minister Harper, I know what it means to go through the machinery of government, how to rely on the excellent civil service, the finance officials of which Mr. Carney once was part of. They would have had a transition plan. They would have had some thinking around how to manage the finances of the country. And Mr. Carney had a costed budget that he had presented through his own Liberal platform. So, in my mind, let's extend Parliament. Let's get to work. Let's get to work for the people of Canada on the priorities that I just intimated would be the important priorities of all Canadians. That's cost of living, housing, fixing the budget, growing the economy, unleashing trillions of dollars of resource wealth so that when the G7 occurs, the Prime Minister is well equipped to actually give the world what it has been demanding so much of.
But Mr. Harper, when he was elected in 2006, I think the election was late January, sworn in February. There wasn't a budget until May. Right? Well, this is a 4th Liberal mandate, as you like to describe it. Mr. Carney's a new Prime Minister with a new plan. So, I mean, is the September-October budget truly out of bounds if you consider that he's here we are late May.
Well, listen, Mr. Carney's government was won by the skin of his teeth. It was a big election in many ways where both parties performed very admirably. The Conservatives built a huge voting coalition, a generational shift for what the party now represents through 8 million votes in our national parliament and ongoing. You know, when Prime Minister Harper was first elected in 2006, it was a minority parliament after a decade of Liberal rule, with a new agenda and a new mandate and new ministers to bring in. That's not the case this time. We see a lot of the same old ministers still on the front benches. We see some fresh faces for which we hold some optimism and some good wishes, obviously. But when it comes to having an agenda and a continuity, even if it's a change of direction, well, the Prime Minister had already been making big decisions on tariffs, on partnerships with other countries like Australia, the United Kingdom, and France. He seemed pretty confident about being Prime Minister prior to the election. I wish he would be as confident today in presenting a budget that, you know, as somebody who presented himself as a strong fiscal manager, should be prepared to do.
Yeah, look, I know you like to talk about the 8 million votes, the Conservatives. I mean, it was a good election in terms of raw data for the Conservatives, right? You know, a gain of, what, 25, 26 seats with the Terra Nova flip. But, you know, they were 60 votes away from a majority. If you look at Windsor-Tecumseh, Terra Nova, the Peninsulas, and Nunavut. So, like, they also had a good result. And you know, he's going to go ahead at his particular speed. But, you know, Wab Kinew was here earlier, and he seems to think you're going to see decisions on things like the major national interest projects, maybe as soon as next week. Not the final decision with the costing, but let's go there. And the Western premiers, and you're a Western MP, they're talking about, you know, an economic corridor, an energy corridor potentially to get things to Hudson Bay. If they start moving fast on things like that, does that satisfy some of the concerns you have about the lack of a budget and what you perceive as a lack of urgency?
Listen, we want progress for this country on its resource potential, on the potential of the West. I think it would go a long ways in dealing with a lot of the pressure of resentment that we're experiencing in Alberta and elsewhere right now. And good faith decisions, but piecemeal decisions that are half-baked without dealing with some of the things that have actually locked away investment from our country's resources, that have prevented us from getting our resources to Tidewater. And I'm not just talking about oil and gas, I'm talking about minerals, critical minerals, partnerships with other allied countries and economies. Like, these are all big decisions that are best fit as part of a national plan for a national budget. Now, we presented that during the election. We have a fully thought out plan on how to build economic corridors, shovel-ready projects, to build investment in this country and multiply it, to give Canadians an opportunity to participate in that unprecedented growth, like game-changing ideas. And so if you're still resistant on blocking pipelines, if you're still resistant on allowing shipping to happen off our coast, if you're still resistant to some of the things that we hear Minister Guilbeault and others in the last week indicate that they're holding on to the old policy, that we don't know what we're actually dealing with. Right. And until we see what they actually want to do, we'll reserve judgment.
Right. The quickest way to make you happy is to implement your platform. Right?
You know,
I don't think it's going to happen.
It was a great platform, and if you listen to Mark Carney, it might happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, Shuvalai Majumdar, it's good to have you here. Thanks for being here today.
It's good seeing you again.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.